Hello, and welcome to the Contingency Contracting Officer Show, where we provide practical guidance for acquisition professionals operating in contingency environments. I'm Troy Small, a retired government contracting officer with experience supporting deployed operations. In the last episode, we discussed operational contract support and how contracting integrates into military operations. Today, we're building on that foundation by covering a critical concept every contingency contracting officer must understand: the phases of contingency contracting and how your role changes in each phase. Segment 1, Mission Brief. Let's start with a scenario. You deploy to support a contingency operation. In the first few days, you're focused on immediate needs, rapid procurement, and basic life support services. A few months later, the environment changes. Now you're dealing with larger contracts, sustained operations, and more structured requirements. Then eventually the mission begins to wind down and your focus shifts again. Each phase requires a different contracting approach. If you treat every phase the same, you risk inefficiencies, poor contract performance, and mission delays. Understanding these phases allows you to adapt and support the mission effectively. Segment 2, Handbook Guidance. According to the Defense Contingency Contracting Handbook, contingency operations generally move through four phases. Phase 1, Mobilization and Initial Deployment. This is the earliest stage. The key characteristics of this stage are limited infrastructure, urgent requirements, minimal vendor base, and high operational tempo. The focus is on speed and responsiveness. Phase 2, buildup. During this phase, you have more personnel arriving, you have infrastructure that is expanding, and your requirements increase in volume. Contracting becomes more organized, but is still fast-paced. Phase 3, sustainment. This is the longest phase in most operations. The characteristics are stable operations, an established vendor base, and larger, longer-term contracts. The focus shifts towards efficiency, oversight, and performance management. Phase 4 is termination and redeployment. As operations wind down, contracts must be closed out, services are reduced, and equipment is transitioned or returned. The focus becomes accountability and proper closeout. One thing that becomes clear in deployed environments is how quickly the mission can shift between phases. What starts as rapid, short-term contracting can quickly evolve into more structured, long-term support requirements. In January 2008, I deployed to Fallujah, Iraq as a contingency contracting officer, serving as the procurement chief for Regional Contracting Center Fallujah. During this assignment, our mission evolved across multiple phases of contingency operations, requiring flexibility, coordination, and sustained contracting support. At the time of my arrival, we were operating in the sustainment phase. In March 2008, the mission shifted into the redeployment phase, and our office began preparing contract files for closeout in advance of the PP map inspection and the planned redeployment of 1MEF command element to Al Asad Air Base in October of 2008. This effort required contracting support for both redeployment activities at Camp Fallujah and initial deployment and buildup operations at Al Asad, where advanced parties arrived ahead of the main body. Most personnel and operations completed the transition to Al Asad in November 2008. Segment 3, Field Operation. Let's talk about how a CCO's role changes across these phases. Phase 1, Initial Deployment. Your priorities are rapid acquisition, identifying vendors, and supporting immediate needs. This is where speed matters the most. In early deployment phases, the biggest challenge is often operating with limited information. You are making decisions quickly, sometimes without a fully developed vendor base or clear long term plan. As was the case during my deployment to Fallujah, Iraq, the early stages of a deployment often require contracting personnel to operate with limited local knowledge and incomplete information. When I first arrived in theater, I had little familiarity with the local business environment, vendor capabilities, or market conditions. Because of that, it was essential to rely on the expertise of my host nation business advisor and interpreter. Both played an important role in helping me to understand the local environment and identify potential sources of supply. They assisted in locating indigenous and third country national companies capable of providing the goods and services required by my government customers. Their insight helped bridge critical information gaps during the initial phases of operations and enabled more informed contracting decisions in a rapidly changing environment. Phase two, buildup. Your priorities shift during buildup to increasing contract capacity, supporting expanding operations, and improving coordination. You begin to balance speed with structure. Phase three, sustainment. In sustainment, now the focus becomes contract performance, cost control, contractor oversight. This is where contract administration really becomes critical. During sustainment, one of the biggest lessons is that awarding the contract is just the beginning. Managing performance and ensuring quality becomes the primary focus. During deployed operations, a significant portion of your time will be spent on contract management and administration. This is especially true during the sustainment phase when the focus shifts from simply awarding contracts to ensuring vendors perform in accordance with contract requirements. At this stage, contracting personnel must be prepared to manage an increase in post-award issues, including terminations for default and convenience, claims, disputes, unauthorized commitments, missing receiving reports, delayed payments, and increased vendor inquiries. These issues require active oversight, timely communication with requiring activities and vendors, and careful documentation to protect the government's interests while maintaining mission support. Phase 4, redeployment. In redeployment, your priorities are contract closeout, property accountability, and reducing the operational footprint. This phase is often overlooked, but is critical for accountability. Segment 4, the CCO Toolkit. To operate effectively across phases, a CCO should be prepared with phase specific tools. For the initial deployment, you should have quick acquisition templates and vendor identification methods. For build-up, you should have requirement tracking systems and coordination tools. For the sustainment phase, you should have contract management tools and performance monitoring systems. And for the redeployment, you should have closeout checklists and property tracking documentation. Planning and awareness. Understanding which phase you are in allows you to adjust acquisition strategies, align with your mission priorities, and to manage your resources more effectively. Segment 5, Lessons Learned. Experienced CCOs often highlight three key lessons about contingency phases. Lesson 1, the mission evolves quickly. Be prepared to adapt your approach. Lesson 2, early decisions have long-term impact. Contracts awarded early can affect sustainment operations later. Lesson 3. Redeployment is often undervalued. Proper closeout is critical for accountability and audit readiness. Rapid checklists. To operate effectively across contingency phases, identify which phase the operation is in. Adjust contracting strategy accordingly. Balance speed and structure. Focus on performance during sustainment and prepare early for contract closeout. Understanding the phases of contingency contracting allows you to align your actions with the mission. Each phase presents different challenges and requires a different approach. In the next episode, we will cover how to set up a contracting office in an austere environment. Thank you for watching the Contingency Contracting Officer Show with Troy Small.